been about 4 months since the last errata, which means we should get one in March, maybe April, but hoping for one in time for Adepticon. So presented for you here are the top 5 things Steamforged has to do for the Guild Ball errata to be successful. But before we get into it, I want to talk about today's sponsor, the Longshanks Cup Squad Goals. This is a new Chicago tournament being run by the Longshanks. The tournament is being run in the style of the World Team Championship, where you and 2 friends will play against another team in a best-of-3 match being played simultaneously. It takes place on the 18th and 19th of July at Alta Grill in McCook, Illinois. Tickets are $170 per team and include 2 meals and all the fun of a Chicago event. Links are in the description. Half the spots are gone, so move fast on this. It's going to sell out. With that out of the way, let's talk top 5. First, some honorable mentions. No honorable mentions. Have discipline. We're making a top 5 list. Number 5. Everyone who loses something gets something. So last time around, blacksmiths, for example, only saw nerfs. And even if that's the correct way to balance the faction, it feels bad. It causes bad feels. There's nothing new for you to try, even though there really is, because by nerfing things, other things in your faction naturally get better. But it doesn't feel that way when it happens. And I really think that if they just give with one hand when they take with the other, the patch will be much, much more successful. Number 4. Let's balance the veteran models. So when I'm talking veteran models here, I'm not talking like Vet Hemlock, who's in Morticians with Hemlock 1 being in Union. I'm talking about the models that are in the same faction and share the same slot. Like, essentially the squaddies that are the same model. For example, the Catalysts. You only play Cat 2 right now. Because Cat 1, even though is a good model, is nowhere near where Cat 2 is. Another great example is Vet Spigot. Brewers are based around the fact that they have access to Times Called, so everyone can have +2/+2 movement. That's on Spigot 1, so you can't leave that behind. Spigot 2 should probably just have Times Called, and let's see where they end up. See if what he brings to the table is a thing that they even want, assuming that he can still bring the +2/+2 speed. And these specific issues can be seen on almost every single veteran pair. Either neither veteran's played, or just one is. Very, very rarely do both see play. Number 3, let's buff Navigators. Good lord, they've been at the bottom for so long. Their mechanic is great. Their sculpts are cool. We just went too shallow on their playbooks. They need better books. They need better access to getting rid of armor or better tack buffs. They need something. Just give them something. They're a really cool mechanical guild. I would like to see them see more play. I'm not wild about them being the best guild, but let's give them something. Absolutely buff Navigators. They've been at the bottom for so long. Number 2. And it's time. Let's nerf Scalpel. So Scalpel is in this weird place where she plays this extreme standoff style that can be super binary, where you play it against a player that has never seen it before and you just crush them, or you play it against a very good opponent and you don't quite execute it right, you make one mistake and your game is over. It makes her very hard to balance because she's probably fine at top tier play, maybe just a little bit too good, and at bottom tier play is probably too weak, but when those two extremes meet, she just runs over those weaker players where they don't even get to play the game. So I think we just make a little bit less of an incentive to actually play her by the more competitive players. Let's just pull the heroic. The heroic was a problem before, so they nerfed it. Let's just pull the heroic, make them pay the 1 influence tax for second wind. And I think that Scalpel will be just fine there, and probably fine forever. Also, this gives a chance for Morn to slide into her role, as I think Morn is probably a good captain, but wants all the same matchups as Scalpel and plays them all worse than Scalpel. Alright, finally number 1, we have Buff Thresher. Bryce? Bryce, you mess with my notes again? Dang it, Bryce. Alright, we're actually nerfing Vetcat. Right? This needs to happen. He's way too strong. Alchemist's entire plan is hung on how strong Vetcat is. There are a lot of ways suggested to nerf Vetcat. The easiest is probably to lower his splash damage back down to 1. That's what's cool about Vetcat. I would prefer we didn't do that. Let's lower his damage numbers. Let's rework his playbook. Let's do any number of things. I would like to keep the 2 splash damage, as that's pretty core to his identity. But I kind of understand if that's what happens, since that's where a big part of the problem is coming from. Along with this, I would like to see them buff Cat 1 to make him see play, because I think our absolute disaster scenario is Vetcat gets nerfed to a point where he's kind of bad, but is still significantly better than Cat 1, and Alchemists just see a nerf and no change in playstyle, no change in variety. They still have to play Vetcat every single game because he's ridiculous. But he's just worse than he was. Let's buff Cat 1 a little bit. Off the bat, I would say just give him does condition damage. Like, maybe does condition damage while he's on fire. Right? Give us a little bit more game into tough high teams. That's my top 5. What do you guys think needs to be in the March Errata? Let me know in the comments down below. Hit that like button. It helps other players find these videos. And subscribe if you're new here. I'm Vincent Kirkov, and this has been the top 5 things that need to be in the March Errata.